You can remain standing as we play our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And with that bomb bursting in air, I'd like to call out the Wisconsin fans for auto racing. This dedicated group, who they're dedicated, about 2 or 3 years ago got together and they have a lot of fun with their monthly meetings. They are going to present the annual Pole Sitter Award to Conrad Morgan. Conrad, come on up. This is for the first time a Wisconsin driver winning the pole award. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our pole sitter, the 10th fastest qualifier, Conrad Morgan, receiving the pole sitter award from the Wisconsin fans for auto racing. A good group of race fans, race officials, they get together, have a good time. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to the tower, and they're going to do the drivers' introductions.
In car number 92, Conrad Morgan, Dousman, Wisconsin. In the number 2 position, car number 28, Jim Weber, Roseville, Minnesota. In the number 3 position, car number 37, David Watson, Milton, Wisconsin. In the number 4 position, car number 93, Johnny Ziegler, Madison, Wisconsin. Next, car number 31, Larry Middleton, East Hazel Crest, Illinois. Number 6 position, car number 5, Jim Slaughter, Nacita, Wisconsin. In the 4th row, car number 2, Joe Shear, Beloit, Wisconsin. Next to Joe, car number 98, Ted Musgraves, Grand Marsh, Wisconsin. In the 5th row, car number 3, Steve Murgic, Rosemont, Minnesota. Next to Steve, car number 25, Bill Venturini, Chicago, Illinois. In the 6th row, car number 2, 725, Mel Wallen, Shakopee, Minnesota. Next to Mel, car number 79, Tom Salini, Chicago, Illinois, Tiger Tom. Row number 7, car number 69, Tracy Embry, Schererville, Illinois, Indiana. Car number 58, Jay Sauter, Nacita, Wisconsin. In the 8th row, Al Schill, number 114 from Franklin, Wisconsin. Next to Al, car number 64, Russ Peterson, Heartland, Wisconsin. In the 9th row, car number 61, Tracy Schuler, Lockport, Illinois. Next to Tracy, car number 158, Don Leach, Beloit, Wisconsin. In the 10th row, car number 45, Rich Bickle, Jr., Edgerton, Wisconsin. Next to Rich in car number 12, Grant Wilson. Wilson from Savage, Minnesota. Row number 11, car number 22, Kenny Lund, Madison, Wisconsin. On the outside in car number 40, Tim Cox, Wildwood, Illinois. Row number 12, car number 74, Terry Baldry. Beside Terry, car number 41 from Madison, Wisconsin, David Klein. In car number 721, Willie Gayden, Kewasco, Wisconsin. Next in car number 20, Joe Terrell, Sycamore, Illinois. In car number 43, Don Baderman, Oakville, Ontario, Canada. Next to Don in car number 87, Bob Abbots. In comprising the back row, car number 73, Terry Weatherford, Byron, Illinois. And last but not least, car number 52, Joel Lauder.
Who will welcome you and
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being with us on this 17th annual event. Gentlemen, are you ready? Gentlemen, start your engines.
Listen to those engines thunder out there. It just gives me goosebumps when we hear that noise. Look at the infield crew signaling that both cars have their engines started. They're starting to roll. There are notes inside some of those balloons, and we've had them come from as far away as Nova Scotia. So if you get home back to your home in Michigan or Wisconsin or Indiana or Iowa this evening and you find a little balloon sitting in your front yard, pop it. It may be a free admission to next year's National Short Track Championship. Look at that. Fred Redmer's going to go over there and see if there's a note in that balloon. He wants to get a free admission next year. Okay, fans. Let's wave at those drivers. Wave your hanky, wave your souvenir Rockford Speedway cap, wave whatever you've got. Let them know that you appreciate their and their crew's efforts in the 17th annual 1982 National Short Track Championship. Look at Woofy down there, hugging his favorite promoter. again, on behalf of the management and staff of Rockford Speedway, let me personally welcome each and every one of you to this, the 17th annual 1982 National Short Track Championship. We're about to get underway with the 200-lap main event, and look at this, the sun is shining on Rockford Speedway for the race of for the start of the 200-lap race. I'm Bob Bowles. I'm here in the tower, and I'll be with Stu Reimer all afternoon. Tom Deere will come up here in a little while and take my place. I'll go down to the pits and do the play-by-play from that pit area during these pit stops and as these cars drop out of the race to help keep you informed on what's going on. So again, on behalf of the management and staff of Rockford Speedway, let's go racing. Willie Gaden coast into the infield, just trying to get his car warmed up. The safety crew goes over to check it out. He holds up one finger. I wonder what that means. It is the index finger. I know what some of the others mean. I don't know what the index finger means. Okay, they've slowed them down. Slowed them down. They're going to bunch up, and we're going to be ready to go racing. And if you haven't got goosebumps now, you haven't been paying attention. Conrad Morgan and Jim Weber. Morgan from Dawson, Wisconsin. Weber from Rossville, Minnesota. Roseville, Minnesota. They're responsible for bringing this back around. Watch Bill Grundley. The green flag flies.
All right, into the first turn. It is Weber losing a little ground up on the top side as Morgan goes away from him. Ziegler dropping in close behind along with Sauter and Watson. Heading into the first turn, stringing out a little bit now. Everybody being extra cautious in that heavy traffic until it gets thinned out a little bit out there.
That's right, Stu. These drivers are driving very, very cautiously for the first few laps till they get everything good warmed up and they know what's going to happen.
You don't win one of these, Bob, in the first 2 or 3 laps in that heavy traffic. 10 or 12, it starts to get thinned out a little bit. You can start looking at where you want to go.
That's right, Stu. 3 laps down, 197 to go.
Morgan making a surprisingly strong showing on the early laps here, moving away from the field now as Weber and Ziegler are in a good battle for second. Sure would be nice to see something good happen to Jim Weber for a change in this 200.
Exactly. Weber's been competing here as long as I can remember in the National Short Track Championship and has not had the luck on his side. Everything else seems to be going fine.
We probably shouldn't have said it.
Bill Venturini smoking out the right front corner of his car. It might be a tire rubbing. We don't know.
No, it looks like engine smoke. Bob, it's coming out from underneath. He's maybe got oil on the headers or something, but it doesn't look too good for Venturini. And it looks like he is going in. He's gone way up high over there, and it looks like he may be headed for the pits.
A tough break for Bill Venturini on lap number 6. He was the 1982 National Short Track pit stop contest. So his pit's going to work right now. Car number 69 a little bit sideways up in the corner, and he slows the pack down.
Jay Sauter getting by him very nicely, along with Leach while he was out of shape down there.
Conrad Morgan, the Dawson, Wisconsin Flyer, with almost a corner lead on Johnny Ziegler.
Sauter has dropped in behind Ziegler now, and I think he's just kind of looking him over and watching to see how his car's working and where he's going to go.
Car number 52 just went to the pits. Of course, that's Joel Lauber. Lauber went to the pits on lap number 10.
He was one of the drivers that got in on a lucky dog drawing today after doing pretty good all weekend and then not making it on the qualifying.
But it does pay a lot of money just to start this race, Stuart. We've got to keep that in mind.
Also running very strong out there right now, Bob, is Ted Musgrave out of Grand Marsh, Wisconsin, a second-generation driver in the number 98 car.
Right, the Racing Musgraves have been doing a super job on American Force short tracks for a long time.
For remember announcing races that his dad Elmer drove in down in the Chicago area in the early 1950s.
Exactly. There's a lot of second-generation drivers here, and I might point out that the driver of car number 5 is the father of driver number 58, Jim and Jay Sauter.
Jay is the number 1 son of 11 children in the Sauter family.
Right, Jim Sauter does something besides race. He raises a family.
Racing is his other hobby, Bob.
I think it's more of a hobby. It's more like a profession for Sauter. Very, very competitive driver.
He sure had a great year this year, winning the Artco Championship for the 2nd year in a row. Coming out of the turn, Mel Wallen and the number 64 car getting together, and beautiful job of getting him under control, Bob.
That's right. Russ Peterson got a little bit sideways, and Mel Wallen may have spun a tire or broke something there, slowing down drastically.
The two cars got together, and Wallen got very sideways down on the inside, and he's got some sheet metal torn up in the right front corner.
Venturini's back out, and he's smoking just as bad as he was when he went in. There might be residual oil, though.
Yeah, they might have checked him out and determined that was oil leaking on the headers. But again, he's not satisfied. It looks like he's going to take it out.
Well, he's a very competitive driver, and he knows better than pull up on the track and oil it down. We've got to spin. Look at this. Larry Middleton, car number 31, spun up in corner number 3. A tough break for a super good guy. Larry Middleton, 31.
He took a pretty good hit on the outside. As you can see, the whole side of the car is caved in. We didn't see who he tangled with or what happened over there, but he wound up facing in the wrong direction and brought out the first yellow of the afternoon.
He tangled with car number 3. Steve Murgick from Roseville, Minnesota. The whole side of the 31 car is smashed in, and you'll see the number 3 car has some damage to it also.
Oh yeah, it's got severe damage on the driver's side front corner, and it's going to be interesting to see whether the officials want to take a look at that or whether he's going to stay out there.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear when Bob Moles gets into the pit area to report on to what the condition or what happened to the fastest qualifier of this event, Billy Venturini.
Well, you know, Bill has had the most unbelievable luck so far this weekend. Well, we can't say it's all luck. It's certainly part luck, and he drew pole position last night in one of the qualifying races. He had fast qualifying time. His pit crews won both first and second in the National Pit Stop Championship. And each is their first and third, I guess I should say, but he's had a good weekend so far, and now when he really wants it to be good, when it really counts, things start going wrong. Incidentally, Tom, I don't know whether we ever told the people about the fact that Venturini turned the fastest qualifying time. Before he came out to qualify, he was down in the pits heating his tires with kerosene heaters, and everybody thinks that that's the reason that he got fast qualifying time. He had his tires all heated up before he came out.
I had a little chat with Bill last night. He said that he was sort of waiting at bay until a lot of the other guys were done. The line was down, and he went up there quickly across the scale and out on the track. And he attributes his fast time to that sort of an innovative way to get the fast qualifying time.
I would guess that if the weather is very cool next year, we're going to see a lot of kerosene heaters in the pits before qualifying.
Well, I don't know if it can get much colder than it was yesterday afternoon out here, but we had a lot of fun.
I certainly hope that all the fans have thawed out after the last 2 nights and are enjoying a little bit of sunshine out there this afternoon. It's just really kind of an ideal day for it right now.
Yeah, there's no bright sun to worry about. It's a shielded sun. At least it's a sun. This is the first one we've seen since Wednesday. They're beginning to pick up the pace now, and the green flag goes.
Right back underway into the first turn, and Connie Morgan out of Dousman, Wisconsin, surprise leader and running extremely well in car number 92. On the yellow, of course, everybody got a chance to close it up on him, and Ziegler is now up there within a couple of car lengths of him. Sauter's been very cautious so far, and Joe Shear, and Tom, it's really unusual to see Joe Shear running in a car other than a car with a number 36 on it.
This was a big surprise. This is his car that his stable uses for Mark Martin when he can run short track events, and it was a surprise to bring down the longer wheelbase number 2 car. Shear on the inside of Sauter.
Joe Shear, who probably has more experience on this racetrack, he and Dave Watson, than any other driver out there, And keep an eye on both of those guys in this event. Watson is always a strong bet if his car runs well, and he's right in there with the top 6 or 7 cars right now. Shear gave it a try on the inside. He's back down there again and got a wheel up alongside of Sauter.
As they fall back into single file, Shear liking that very low groove for some reason. Joe Shear taking it very low on the track, trying to get on the inside of Sauter. They are certainly not laying back in these early stages of the races. They are definitely going for it all right here.
I think Shear is testing it down there, Tom, on the inside to see what kind of a bite he's getting, how much rubber has been left down there. And now he's fully in there alongside of Sauter. Joe Shear testing Jim Sauter's mettle as he moves in alongside. Sauter, I think, wants to go faster, but he's got both Ziegler and Morgan ahead of him, and they're coming into heavy traffic, Tom.
The traffic looms ahead for your first running cars right now. Connie Morgan leading the charge as they have slower traffic ahead, and it'll be interesting to watch how they weave their way through the traffic. Morgan leading the charge. Ziegler in second, the 5 car. Jimmy Sauter running in third. 2 is Joe Shear. 98, Teddy Musgrave. 37, Dave Watson.
And the traffic being lapped moves over very nicely down there on the blue flag from starter Bill Gronley. Lets those hot dogs move through up in the top groove. But look at this. We're coming up to some too deep traffic ahead of them, and they're really going to have a problem with this.
The 40 car of Tim Cox on the outside line. Now it's beginning to stretch out, and they might be able to go by single file. Connie Morgan now putting a lap on the 73 car of Terry Weatherford as they come down the front straightaway. One of the things to worry about here for these drivers is the traffic. It's always an issue, and we've seen it come for some great finishes.
Leach just came back out of the pits, and here's Venturini back out again, Tom, in car number 25, and immediately pulling down to a stop on the inside. Wait a minute, we've got a yellow out. Let's see what it is.
It looks like the 22 car of Kenny Lund and the 125 car of Mel Wallen getting together.
Yeah, Wallen is 725. It's kind of hard to see those taped-on numbers in some cases, and I think, Tom, in many of those cases, we'll probably be referring to the car, if there isn't a duplication out there, by its regular number. It's a lot easier to call Wallen 25 if you're not scoring it. I feel a little bit sorry for our scorekeepers who in many cases today have got to write down 3-digit numbers, and that's difficult enough on this short a track. Yes, Bob Moles from...
I'm down in the pits here. I just talked to the Bill Venturini crew, and believe it or not, there was a hole poked in the valve cover. I'm down here with the Larry Middleton crew, and they're working feverishly to get the front end of this car aimed back in the straight direction. Everybody's working feverishly, and Larry's just sitting there patiently waiting for him to finish.
Okay, Bob, thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the first of many reports that you'll be hearing from the pits this afternoon from our roving reporter down there, Bob Moles, who has done most of the mic work along with Tom so far in this weekend. And as cars move in and out of the pits, Bob will be reporting to us on the problem. Now, apparently, Venturini's crew has either changed a rocker arm cover or they have patched it up possibly with the silicone adhesive that they use for those things. Tough luck for Venturini, the fastest qualifier, but remember this is a 200 lapper today, and Bill still has a lot of time to get back out there and make up some of those laps. Tom, that's tough luck for the Shakopee, Minnesota driver who did very, very well here in the preliminary events the other night, winning, I believe it was the Daytona 50, the first of the 50 lappers to earn his way into this one today. And
25 car, the 725 car of Mel Wallen pulling up onto the exit, and the green flag flies. So Mel's going to have to do some quick shifting to get into the field as he pulls her down onto the track.
Yeah, Mel's going to go a lap down as he rejoins the field. So another lap down, we should say, but at least he's back out there and looking good.
There's your leader, Conrad Morgan, passing in front of us now as they work their way around the 31 car of Larry Middleton. Morgan, your leader in the 92 car. 93 running in second. Jim Sauter now going to go to work on the 93 car, Johnny Ziegler. Sauter eyeing up the backside of John Ziegler, looking to see which way he can go.
Took a look at the inside coming off of the turn that time, Tom. Just dropped down there and got on it a little bit to see if he can get up alongside of Ziegler. Ziegler's staying in there very tight on Morgan and running it down about a half of a car width lower than Morgan. effectively blocking any attempt by Sauter to get it down there on the inside. And now, of course, with slower traffic down on the inside, they are stymied for the moment.
Joe Shear again trying to make the move on Jim Sauter as that lap before he pulled down on the inside as they make their way past the 22 car of Kenny Lund. Shear, there now Sauter again making the move on Johnny Ziegler. Sauter trying that lower groove, and it appears that that is the way they're going to pass today is by dicing down into that lower groove.
And it's always risky going down there, Tom. You got to get on it hard. The track is flatter, the turn is tighter, and you take a risk every time you get into that lower groove to try a pass.
Right ahead of Connie Morgan, and we got a smoke coming out of the 69 cars. He slows it down.
Yeah, that's Trace Embry out of Schererville, Illinois, in that 81 Camaro with the smoke showing, and he's moving around the inside now, trying to feel it out and see if he can determine what it is. Moving considerably slower, quite a bit off the pace of the rest of the cars. Going to run it a couple of laps and see what happens, and then possibly take it in the pits.
Connie Morgan and crew now taking their charge into slower traffic as they go by the 52 car, Joe Loeffler, but straight ahead is Don Leach. 4 cars running side by side, so it's going to be a big fight for how the positions are going to be. As Morgan sizes up the situation as he comes around, all he sees is rear bumpers.
Yeah, heavy going coming up for the leaders here right now. And Gronley working with the blue flag down there right now to try and get some of those lap cars out of the way. Doesn't always work because there aren't that many places to go on this racetrack. Look out, right
We've got a yellow.
Leaders. We've got the number 64 car on a flat outside rear tire spun down here in the front straightaway. The number 64 car of Russ Peterson out of Heartland, Wisconsin, and Klein in car number 41 had no place to go. Dave Klein, the Madison, Wisconsin driver, he just simply had to lock it up and spin it sideways down there as well. Bob Moles, what do you see happening down there in the pits at the moment? Kind of quiet?
No, there's a lot of guys backed up at the tire truck here getting all kinds of tires ready to go, so obviously they know something that we don't, but it's quiet down in the pits right now. A couple laps back, Russ Peterson, you can see him getting a little bit slippery, like that tire might have been going down.
The green on the next lap, so that's probably going to put, no, here's Peterson coming out now just in front of the leaders, and Gronley keeps the yellow out one more lap, and that's a great break for Russ Peterson. That means that he will not have to go an additional lap down.
I think when Russ crested the hill there, he thought that the cars were still running much slower than they were and thought he had the opportunity to go, didn't knowing that the green was going to fly. And it sort of caught him in a bad situation, but he made the best of it by hugging that front straightaway wall so not to create any kind of problems. And here comes your leaders for the green flag, the 92 car of Connie Morgan taking the charge. 41 car laps complete. Morgan, your leader, number 92. And we've got another spin. The 52 car, Joe Loeffler, looping it out in corner number 2. With 42 laps complete.
Gronley for one more lap.
Okay, as they come around now, they might be getting the green flag, and they do, is Connie Morgan in the 92 car, leading this from lap number 1. Is the number 92 car of Conrad Morgan out of Delsman, Wisconsin.
All right, taking a look back along the line now. Ziegler still in the number 2 spot. Sauter in 3rd, and Shear again testing Sauter a little bit on the inside through the turns. Again, he's down in there alongside of him, and again he tucks it back in behind.
Well, you know, Stu, Joe Shear has now won this event since 1975 when he won his 3rd National Short Track Champion title. He has, however, in that time finished 2nd 4 times. 3 of them in a row.
And I think the fans that were here to witness those events will never forget some of those battles with Shear banging on the back end of whoever was leading, the Dick Trickle and Joe Shear battle in particular, and last year's Jim Sauter and Joe Shear, year before last, Jim Sauter, whoa, Sauter, Shear was trying to get in outside of Sauter, and Sauter shut the door on him a little bit, took a little piece of the front end with him.
Once again, we're seeing that absolute torrent pace for these first 100 laps. Generally, it was a let's see what happens attitude that these drivers have. But they are certainly going after it and not waiting for anything. It used to be conserve your tires, but I don't see that happening today.
No, Tom, they're on the harder tires that are giving them good wear, and they're not too worried about going 100 laps under any conditions on these tires, so that's at least one worry that they don't have any longer. I can't get over the pace that Connie Morgan is setting out there. He is really looking strong. Again, here is Sauter on the inside, trying Ziegler.
Sauter getting in that low groove, which is so dangerous.
There goes Klein in car number 41 after a tangle with Peterson. He and Peterson made contact over there, and Klein did a loop-the-loop right in front of Peterson. Everybody had to get on the anchors in a hurry over there. All of the leaders were coming right up on the scene of that accident.
For that green flag.
Stu, I'm down here in the pits with Dave Klein, a real top-notch competitor from Madison, Wisconsin. Dave, what happened?
Lost ignition in the...
Lost the ignition, so that's the word from that. Thank you, Dave. A good race. I've also got Bill Venturini sitting in his car, and boy, is he hot. What happened, Bill?
We punched a hole in the valve cover about the 3rd lap. We had to pull the crossbar off to change it, and I got down too many laps.
Okay, Bill Venturini retired from the event also.
Okay, thanks for those excellent reports from the pits, Bob Moles, and keep us posted on anything that's happening down there, please. All right, Connie Morgan now finds himself looking square at the back end of Russ Peterson's car. Russ been in and out of the pits twice now, running on the tail end of the line, and he moves over and lets our leader get by in the first turn. Peterman having trouble coming off of turn number 4 down there. He got it very swirly coming down off the turn. He has not adopted the take it up to a peak and bring it down off style that most of the drivers use here at Rockford.
Richie Bickle into the pits. Richie Bickle into the pits. The 45 car, Richie Bickle, almost at full speed, drove it right into the pits. He must have felt something going bad. It might be another tire.
Tom, we've noticed Peterman having a little bit of handling trouble, particularly coming off of turn 4. The car has gotten very loose on him on a couple of occasions coming out of 4.
It appears that as he crest in the corner, instead of triangulating like most of these drivers do, he's sort of sailing through the corner. So we might see a handling problem on that 43 car.
Yeah, you're probably right, Tom. It may be that he's just not used to the pattern that most of the top drivers use at this track of going up to a peak at the center of the turn and then bringing it down.
Jim Sauter right on the backside of Johnny Ziegler as they came down the front straightaway. Right out of the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show, they were definitely bumper to bumper.
Sauter's got an unbelievable knowledge of where the exact front end of that car is. I've seen him run 2 and 3 inches off the back end of another car. That's got to be psychologically traumatizing to the guy running in that front car. Look at that. Sauter right underneath the back end of his
We've got a car up into the wall, and hard into the wall.
Falling again in car number 25, Tom.
Mel Wolin in the 725 car appeared to have lost control of that car and just rode that wall all the way around into the corner.
Pit crew and his own driving ability, he's looking still very strong out there.
I suspect this so far has been a record number of yellow flags that we've had in this event for the first 60 laps, but I think a lot of that can be contributed to this unbelievable pace that these guys are putting themselves through. They're letting it all hang out today.
Tom, we can't help but have the thought that wouldn't it be nice to see somebody win this today that's never won it before?
Well, there's some very sure candidates out there in the first and second place cars. are them themselves right there, plus the 98 car of Teddy Musgrave. He's another potential that could put himself into the winner's column. Al Schill trying to get past the 58 car of Jay Sauter as they battle it for 7th position.
And they swapped a little bit of paint down the front straightaway here, Tom. And again, Schill and Sauter getting together hard coming off of turn 4. And Schill backed off of it, let Sauter go. They're beating on each other pretty good out there.
The string of cars as they come down the straightaway. Dave Watson, as he went into corner number 1, made some unusual gyrations with the car, as if something in the steering might have been giving him problems. He appears to have everything under control now.
You know, every time you hear about something like that, Tom, you think about the rash of incidents that have occurred with these new detachable steering wheels, the quick-release steering wheels, where even somebody as sharp as Dick Trickle had one come off on him up in Wisconsin here.
The hand of Ken Lund comes out as he comes down the front straightaway. Kenny Lund putting his hand up high by the wall, looking to pull out of the groove area down into the infield. Kenny Lund out of the action today.
No, he's going to take it right down into the pits, Tom, and Gronley watching him very closely down there to see that he was going to clear.
We have 70 laps complete as Conrad Morgan, coming from his pole position, is continuing to lead this race.
All right, keep an eye on Biederman, ladies and gentlemen, in car number 43. He has really begun to move, and he is closing right now on Jay Sauter in car number 58.
We were just watching Joe Shear in the number 2 car again move on the inside of Jimmy Sauter. Every time around, he seems to size up the backside of that number 5 car. You also see running with the leaders there, though, although I believe he is 1 or 2 laps down, is the 31 car of Larry Middleton, which the 74 car pulling off of the track. Which just makes me wonder if Larry Middleton's car could have been very competitive if it had been for that unfortunate circumstance earlier. Again, Shear trying on Sauter as slower traffic looms ahead.
They are really coming up into a mess of traffic now, Tom. Keep an eye on the leaders now as they have to thread the needle going through some heavy traffic down the back straightaway. They're too deep, 2 rows of them too deep ahead of the leaders.
Stu and Tom, I'm down here with Kenny Lund in car number 22, the LJS Sportswear car, and he's got rear end problems. He thinks he's lost the spur gears.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Ken Lund in 22 out with rear end problems in the car. And look at the leaders trying to work their way through some very heavy going down there. Leach and Bickle now ahead of the leaders as most of the lap cars have dropped down to the inside, and that big, long freight train, nose to tail, flies down into the front straightaway.
Stu, you made mention of threading the needle. Those cars, those first 7 cars or 6 cars, look like they are a string. They're just on a wire as they drive themselves around the slower traffic here.
Yeah, it's an incredible fast freight we've got out there right now with a 92, 93, 52, and 37 cars all tied together like, as you say, like they're on a string.
As they make most of the leaders make their way past that group of cars, as we have the 92 car of Conrad Dousman leading the charge.
And again, Biederman is going to be up there in that fray before too long. He's picking them off one by one back along the line, although he's lost a little ground to Jay Sauter now after being...
Joe Shear up alongside. Shear up alongside of Sauter as they move down the back straightaway. And we've got a yellow flag.
And we've got a yellow flag. Son of a gun, what a time for the yellow to come out, with Shear making a determined charge down in alongside of both Sauter and Ziegler. And at one point going into the back straightaway, he was all the way by Sauter and had a wheel up on Ziegler, but on the yellow flag, of course, he's going to be back in there behind them on the restart. Bob, what's going on down in the pits?
Down in the pits, I'm on the Tracy Schuler crew, and Larry Schuler, Tracy's brother, changing the right front tire. A lot of tire attrition here this afternoon.
And you know, Shear wouldn't be a competitive race driver if he didn't at least stay down there until they told him where to go.
Here they come, coming out of corner number 1, taking the green flag. It's a long stretch of clean track ahead of them with 82 laps complete. We might see ourselves making it all the way into the 100-lap break with this type of field running the way it is. Jay Sauter and Don Biederman in the 58 and 43 cars bringing themselves up to join the rest of the field.
Morgan still setting a blistering pace with Ziegler, Sauter, Shear, and Watson right on top of him. And Sauter and Shear trying the inside every now and then. And again, you see Shear down in there, keeping the pressure on both Sauter and Ziegler. Now here he is on the inside again. Here is Shear down into the front straightaway, but he realizes that he's going to have to go by both Sauter and Ziegler if he goes down to the inside, because Sauter is certainly not going to open up a hole for him to get into down there. And Shear is running it, Tom, on the inside the hard way.
That very difficult inside groove, and you can just imagine that Joe's clenching that steering wheel so very tight as lap after lap now they begin to run side by side.
Tremendous battle for the number 3 position, and actually it's a battle now for the number 2 position. And Ziegler is keeping it way closed up. Shear is going to have to go all the way into the lead if he's going to do it.
Conrad Morgan all of a sudden appeared to slow down a little bit, and that left the way for Joe Shear to shoot by on the inside.
May have a chance to get up there into that groove now. Let's see. Ziegler has backed away, and oh, that was a bad mistake on Ziegler's part to give Shear room to get up into that outer groove. Bad mistake.
And Shear looking to take over the lead. He's trying to move a look on the inside of the 92 car, Conrad Morgan, but now Jim Sauter moving past Johnny Ziegler as well. But waiting right there is that 37 car of Dave Watson.
And things have started to break out here now as we approach the halfway point in this race, and here comes Shear down the inside, moving in alongside of Conrad Morgan in the number 92 car. Joe Shear trying for the lead down the back straightaway as they move in behind some traffic now. Shear pressing the advantage. What a job of driving by Shear with Sauter right on his back bumper, glued to him, and he goes by Morgan and into the lead. Joe Shear takes the lead at 93 laps.
And Jim Sauter, he doesn't want to get far behind. Oh, they come together!
And Morgan get together as Sauter drifted out into Morgan coming off the turn. Tore up the sheet metal on both of those cars, and Watson has now gone by Morgan, and Morgan shook his fist out the window at Sauter as Sauter went away from him.
Stu, I saw the back end of Jim Sauter's car jump in the air. I hope it didn't damage anything as far as the suspension goes on that car.
Yeah, as he came off the turn, the car got loose on him, and he drifted into the side of Connie Morgan's car and jumped the wheel on him.
Oh, we have a spin in the yellow. Don Biederman.
Don Biederman and the young Mergic, Steve Mergic, and Bob Abbott's involved in that 3-car tangle down there.
Sideline for the evening.
Well, it's unfortunate for Klein as he overcame that ignition problem, and we're back on the green. 96 laps complete.
Tom, another 10 laps and we should be very close to that mandatory 17-minute pit stop. And that is going to be very welcome for these guys.
Shear and Sauter side by bumper to bumper as they came on through corners 3 and 4. As you were mentioning before, Jim Sauter knows exactly where the front end of that car is.
And a tough luck break for Biederman on that last entanglement, Tom. He's got to start from all the way in the tail end of the line again.
Well, there's 100 and some laps left to go, and it'll be a lot clearer track, so we'll see what happens as they come around. That lead freight train beginning to stretch out a little bit.
And Tom, Conrad Morgan is way off the pace in car number 92, moving quite slowly down there now. Everybody is going by him on the outside, and I would guess that he is just going to try and make it to the pit stop and then go in and see if they can find the troubles with that car.
And Conrad very slowly taking that car around.
Okay, the yellow is back out again. Let's see what it was for.
This is the 103 lap. This is it. You can look at the pit stands emptying out. It looks like someone has told them that it's supper time or free beer or something as the stands completely empty out. They'll take a couple slow laps around to make sure that the scorers can check every car to make sure that they're there. When the last car leaves, we start that 17-minute pit stop.
Tom, that early yellow just at 103 is a great break for Conrad Morgan, who has been kind of limping around out there for the last 3 or 4 laps with obviously some kind of troubles, and anxiously waiting for that yellow to come out so that he can get in the pits and his crew can check it over. And Bob Moles, please stand by down there in the pits. We would very much like to have you check with Conrad Morgan when he gets in the pits to get his version of the incident with Sauter and also find out what's been happening to the number 92 car. Do you copy?
That's right, Stu. I was watching those last few laps, and Conrad seemed to slow down drastically. Conrad seemed to slow down drastically in the last few laps. When he gets in here, I'll talk to him. We're also going to talk with Joe Shear and find out if he's where he wants to be at this pit stop. I think he does.
And Bob, if you get a chance, we don't know how much time you're going to have. It would be kind of interesting to get Don Biederman's reaction to his first event here at Rockford Speedway and how he's doing.
I'm sorry, Stu, I didn't hear that. It's kind of hard to hear down here in the pit, so if you repeat it, I'll find out who you want to talk to.
Okay, we were just suggesting you might want to get to Don Biederman when he comes down the pits and get his reaction to his first competition here at Rockford.
That's right, the Canadian champion, and he's probably going to have a few words to say about this Rockford Speedway, but he's still out there competitive. Here they come. They're going into the pits now, so when that last car crests the hill, we will start that 17-minute countdown.
We have Shear, Sauter, Watson, Ziegler. Trying to get them sorted into single file order further back along the line. We believe it's the number 98 car. Still in fifth spot out there.
Teddy Musgrave, followed by the 58 car of Jay Sauter, Jimmy Weber, and I think Tom Cellini is also running up there. Stu and Tom, I'm down here with a very dejected-looking Terry Baldry. Pulled out and lined up and then pulled back in the pits. What happened, Terry?
Something's wrong with the clutch.
Something's wrong with the clutch. His crew is working feverishly on this hydraulic clutch.
Okay, tough luck for Terry Baldry because they are right now on the one-lap signal. Starter Bill Gronley is going to turn them loose this time. Shear bringing them around very deliberately in car number 2. Turning it on now through the middle of the turn, and down he comes, and there is the green, and we are back underway with 97 circuits yet to go. Tom?
97 to go, and Joe Shear very gently takes it through corner 1 and 2 as this race is back at it. The 17th Annual National Short Track Championships on its way for its second half.
And Tom, you can see that the tires are cooled off. They're skating a little bit out there. A7 Bob Abbott's coming onto the infield.
They're not really quite up to that pace they were when they left, so it's going to take them a few laps to warm the tires up.
Now they say on these harder tires it's at least 5 laps before you get them up to racing temperature, sometimes more depending on the weather.
All of a sudden, 2 cars drop out. Bob Abbott's in the 40 car, Tim Cox pulling it down into the pit area. But here's your leader coming out of corner number 4, Joe Shear, very gently keeping a nice cushion of safety between him and the 5 car, Jim Sauter. Dave Watson right there, as he's been so many times.
And Ziegler running extremely strong, and you heard him down in the pits during the break. They're going to make some adjustments on the car, get it running a little bit better, and otherwise he's pretty pleased with it.
I'm really impressed with the way that the 31 car of Larry Middleton has been running. It's unfortunate that he had to be involved in that first incident, knocking him down. I believe he's 1 or 2 laps out of this event.
Yeah, he lost a couple of laps early on and that are going to be extremely hard to make up. But the important thing is, Tom, he's staying right in there with the leaders, staying on the same pace that they are. So if he can maintain that position, he'll lose an absolute minimum of additional time.
That's so true, and it's as the laps begin to add up here. Joe Shear now beginning with slower traffic ahead as they move down the back straightaway. The cars seem to be pretty fairly spread out now.
Yeah, everybody seems to have a little racing room down there at the moment. And right now, Sauter has dropped off the pace a little bit. In fact, we've got big gaps between the first and second and third and fourth cars, Tom. That's the biggest gaps we've had in the lineup of leaders since the race began.
That's true, as all of a sudden there seems to be a space between the first and second, third and fourth place cars. I notice now that they're approaching probably, I believe that the only car that they're approaching that they might potentially lap is the 114 car of Alice Schill and the 92 car of Conrad Morgan and the 43 car of Don Biederman. All of them running on the same lap as the leaders.
Morgan seems to be running fairly strongly again after returning now with the fresh tires.
As Joe Shear makes his way around the slower traffic. Now Jim Sauter has definitely closed that distance between he and Joe Shear.
And we note that Mel Wallen is back out there, Tom, after spending a lot of time in the pits after 2 earlier incidents.
And he seems to have the car working pretty well now, as it's Shear and Sauter bumper to bumper as they approach the 114 car of Alice Schill. Schill, the winner of the Artco Spring Classic here, way back on a very, very cold day in April. But he doesn't look like he's going to have that luck today as Shear pulls up on the outside of Alice Schill now. A good competitor from Franklin, Wisconsin.
Right, Shear to the outside now, closely followed by Sauter. Watson has dropped off by several car lengths now in car number 37, but Watson has also gained some ground on Ziegler, and Ziegler is about half a straightaway now behind Watson.
You just wonder what is going through their minds right now. What kind of strategy could they possibly be thinking? Is Jim Sauter going to stay there until the last laps of this event? Has he been conserving his tires? As these are the same tires that they started with at the beginning of this race.
You know, both Musgrave in car number 98 and Jay Sauter in car number 58 are running very strong out there, looking good.
They are on the same lap, as is the 28 car Jim Weber and the 45 car Richie Bickle, and Tracy Schuler and Tom Salini, I believe, as well.
And the veteran modified driver Willie Gaden in car number 72 or 721, if you will, also running very strong. He and Jim Weber hanging together out there lap after lap.
Joe Shear now putting a lap on the 92 car Conrad Morgan, and right ahead of him is the 43 car of Don Biederman.
Oh, and right in front of Shear, Biederman gets loose. Don Biederman getting sideways right in front of the leader, Joe Shear. Oh, what a close one, and what a tremendous job of reacting to that danger by Joe Shear. Unbelievable that he was able to get around him, Tom.
That was a superb piece of driving as all of a sudden Don Biederman's rear end just broke loose went sideways, and Shear just drove right around him with a great piece of driving ease.
Tom, I'm a little bit surprised that Biederman hasn't done a better job of adapting to the pattern here at Rockford by following some of these top drivers and seeing where they're going. He still seems to be having a good deal of trouble getting off of turn 4 from time to time.
Well, in his first time, and not having an opportunity for any practice laps has to have an effect on how he was going to do today. So Don Biederman going down a lap, but look at your two leader cars. They are bumper to bumper.
And I got a feeling that we're going to see a reverse of what we saw here 2 years ago in the 1980 event when Sauter was out front and Shear was behind him, hammering on him lap after lap, trying to get by to no avail. And this time it looks like just the reverse, although we've got a lot of laps yet to go.
132 complete with 78 remaining. As now...
Batter now to the inside. Watch this, but no place to go. He's going to get scraped off in the traffic.
Tracy Schuler going down for his first lap, as it appears Tommy Cellini will in the 79 car also.
Sauter went for the inside, Tom, but there was no place for him to go, and Shear just scraped him off on those two cars that were running down on the inside, Cellini and Schaefer.
You think that this might be an all Shear and Sauter race, but Dave Watson looms back there just sort of with an eyeball on exactly what's happening. And also back there running very well is that 98 car of Ted Musgrave.
And don't forget Ziegler. Ziegler is still hanging in there very strongly. Whoops. 69 car coming back in on the outside, trying to get up to speed as the leaders move by him. Having trouble getting up to speed.
A little bit of a hard stop there as I looked down and saw the car almost sitting still on the front straightaway. He's probably trying to work his way into the lower groove.
Well, that's Trace Embry, and he better get out of there because Gronley, in fact, right now telling Embry to get out on the inside and get out of the way. No place for him to get on the inside, and he's came back out of the pits, but obviously something's still very wrong with the car, Tom. He could not get it up to speed.
Shear and Sauter dicing it out, and Jimmy Weber slowing down. What a move!
Weber slowing down behind Leach, and Weber's got troubles. He's way up against the wall out there and moving very slowly, and that's brought out the yellow.
What an unfortunate thing for Jimmy Weber, who is running so well, running right...
It looks like Jim Weber's got a flat right front tire. He's coming into the pit area now.
And Tom, I don't know whether he tangled with Leach in car number 158. The rear end of Leach's car appears to be banged up a little bit, and he was making some sort of a signal to Weber as they went around turns 1 and 2 out there. Bob, maybe if you can get near Weber's car, you can check and see what happened there. We're going to say Jay Sauter in car number 58, and beyond that, we don't even want to guess.
As we're going to come around this time, and the green flag flies, and they're on their way. 140 laps complete. 60 to go.
Car number 69 on the infield, out of it. Tires cooled off a little bit now, and the car is just a little bit skittish as they get back to speed.
As now we've got those first 3 cars nose to tail as they work their way through the corners. This is definitely going to be a trophy dash to the end.
Yeah, Watson has closed in right on the tail of both Sauter and Shear.
As those 3 cars with clear track have just been moving away from the rest of them, and it looks like that's the way it's going to be. Johnny Ziegler doing everything he can to get by, to get up there and join those 3 cars.
You know, Tom, it's got to be very frustrating for Sauter and Watson because when those cars are by themselves running in the clear out there, that's the ideal time to try for an inside pass. But just after a yellow flag, your tires are cooled off and your car is not working as well as it should. So they've got to wait for those tires to heat up, and by that time they might be back into the traffic again, as that looks exactly like what's happening here.
The Tim Cox car, number 40, ahead of our leaders as they come around. But they are nose to tail. John Ziegler now up in that number 4 position with no cars between them. John Ziegler certainly has had some hot and cold luck here at the Rockford Speedway in the years past. Last year, I believe he only completed 1 or 2 laps of the entire 200 lap with malfunction early in the race.
Tom Watson is putting pressure on now. He's looked at the inside a couple of times, especially coming off of 2, and he is right now very, very much in the thick of things and in the chase, and looking at the possibility of taking over one of those 2 top spots.
Well, any one of those 3, and even with Johnny Ziegler, any one of those 4 could potentially take over the lead and get in the front of this race.
And that time, Sauter moved in behind Shear and nudged him a little bit. Just as they got off it going into 3, Sauter gave just a little nudge to the back end of Joe Shear's car. And now they move by Peterson on the outside. Those 3 leaders tied tight together and really flying out there.
It doesn't appear that the 93 car of John Ziegler is gaining any ground on these 3, but what a race they have raging now. Last week up at the Wisconsin Dells, up at the Midwest Championship, there was a situation similar to this. The positions were changed a little bit, with Watson running very hard until a tire let go for him.
Right, Sauter is looking it over again. Keep an eye on Sauter. He's looking inside and outside. Got way up high last lap through 3 and 4, and then down low through 1 and 2. And he is again looking at the possibility that he might try and get by Joe Shear.
A big string of slower traffic looms ahead for these guys.
Yeah, they got some heavy stuff coming up now, and Gronley has got the blue out. Wallen moving over very quickly for them. Right, Willie Gaten in the 721 gets.
We got a spin, Tommy Delaney, Shear, Watson, everybody's spinning. They're slamming into each other.
Oh, what a break for Joe Shear. Depending on how they put this back together now, Sauter has moved away, Watson has moved away. It's Wallen again up on the wall along with the 79 car of Tiger Tom Cellini out of Chicago. Bad break right in front of the lead cars.
What appeared...
Watson is heading for the pits. Watson is headed for the pits, the 3rd place car. He's got a tire problem, I believe, or some body material crunched in on the tire.
What an unfortunate thing to happen as they were running so good, so close together.
Sauter got some front end damage also, Tom.
Yeah, you can see it from here as they move down the back straightaway. Jim Sauter getting some front end damage.
Driver's side front corner badly punched in on the Sauter car.
It was at that same corner last year that Jim Sauter was involved in a similar type accident where he was avoiding someone else's spin and got punched in the front end and eliminating him from that event.
Shear miraculously getting through that without a scrape on the car. Bob Moles in the pits. Can you see the work on Watson's car, or can you get to him? Come back.
I've done in the Dave Watson crew. They've just taken the hood off the car. They're checking everything, and Dave Watson is on his way back out. Mel Wallen pulling into this, but it's a very disgusted-looking young man. Bob, Jim Sauter just pulled into the pit area as well.
Bob, check the Sauter pit stop for us, if you will. Bob tells us that Watson, here's Watson now, the hood off the car.
Jimmy Sauter's on the way back out. They checked the tires. They ran their hands over the tires, made sure all 4 of them still had air in it. They were aimed in the right direction and sent him back on out. Very, very fast work by these crews down here. Dave Watson's crew took the hood off that car. It is a hinged hood. It's not a lift-off hood, and they just literally tore it off. with a very good qualifying time yesterday. We knew that he'd be one that was running very well here at the Rockford quarter mile. We'll see what'll happen now.
Wouldn't you like to know what's going through Joe Shear's mind right now, Tom?
Well, if Joe says as much as that, you know, he probably thinks, well, I'll just take it and we'll go for it. And he has such a good attitude about what he does that it's comforting.
Well, you know, he's certainly got to be feeling a tremendous relief at this point with his two toughest competitors now back on the tail end of the line.
And the green flag comes out again. And Joe Shear running all alone with John Ziegler right behind him, but Shear seems to have the power to pull away from the 93 car. Let's see what'll happen as we run into the last laps of this event.
Tom, I think that puts Jay Sauter and Don Biederman pretty well up along the line at this point.
Well, Biederman is down a lap. And Jay Sauter has not lapped, so he appears to be your fourth place running car. And now Ted Musgrave breaking away with unbelievable speed. Keep an eye on this 98 car Musgrave. Running very well, and you can imagine he's putting his foot into it as hard as he can now because he doesn't want Shear to get away from him.
I think Musgrave now sees a chance that he perhaps felt he didn't have earlier, Tom. He sees those lead cars right ahead of him. He knows he's not a lap down. He knows he can run as fast as Ziegler, and he wants to get up there and find out if he can run as fast as Shear.
We see Jim Sauter just not quite having the handling that he did before. Every corner seems to be a struggle, so it looks like the day might be all over for Jim Sauter.
Tom, I think one of the reasons that it looks like a struggle for him is because he is flying out there. He is really trying to get by those cars, and I think he's perhaps taking some chances that he wouldn't take if he was just running normally behind the leaders. He is absolutely flying through that traffic.
There's your leader crossing the finish line, 166 laps complete, as Musgrave and Ziegler are now battling it out for that second and third place.
And Musgrave is really pushing Ziegler. He's going to make him move if he wants to stay in second.
Dave Watson doing very well as well. He's putting himself very much through the slower traffic and working his way up there. Probably counting it to get some more cars behind him and then hoping for that yellow flag.
But Tom, if you take a look at where Watson and Sauter are in relation to Shear, Shear is actually right behind them on the raceway in the same straightaway, so they've got a long way to go, and their only hope is some yellow flag occurrences before we get finished with this one. We're coming up to the 30-lap remaining mark here.
It's going to be down to a feature race when it's all over here. Joe Shear seemed to have not any problems at all. The car running super as he puts his way through each corner and now putting quite a distance between himself and the 93 car, John Ziegler, running in second.
And we're down to a 30-lap feature sprint right now, Tom. Call it 29 laps as Shear came across the line, and the scoreboard showing 171. And will now show 172 with 28 laps remaining.
If I could at least forecast a little bit, it looks like that Joe Shear might be putting National Short Track Champion title number 4, getting closer with every lap.
He's making history out there with every lap now, Tom. He'll be the first 4-time winner if he does it this afternoon.
And not winning since 1975, so it's taken him a long time to put this win back together.
Whoop, we got a spin. Bickle in car number 45 spinning. And there's a break. There's a break right now for Watson and Sauter. Bickle spins to the inside off of turn 2, brings out the yellow. Right, the green is out, and they're back underway. Boy, I'll tell you something, Tom. Watson doesn't waste a second. He was in alongside of that car ahead of him the second that green flag came out. He knew exactly when it came out. He was so close to jumping the start on that we thought Donnelly was going to give him another one. Oh, and Watson better be careful because Weber is very squirrely in front of him in car number 28.
A whole line of slower traffic in front of Dave Watson, and he's really got his work cut out for him. But we now got the Johnny Ziegler car trying to get past the 721 car of Willie Gaten.
We're watching Biederman move through the traffic in car number 43, and he has caught on very quickly to the intricacies and the difficulties of this race course, and he is moving by him pretty well out there, but he waited a long time to make his move, and of course he got a lap down on the...
Terry Weatherford up by the wall. Terry Weatherford running slow right up by the wall. Gonna all of a sudden get his speed back. I can't tell what happened there.
Right, Shear is on lap 180, Tom, and he'll complete 180 as he comes across the line. There'll be 20 remaining in this 17th annual National Short Track Championship.
And Dave Watson's still on his charge, and I do believe he almost appears that he's picking up some space between himself and Joe Shear.
Both Watson and Sauter are coming on strong, but I think it's too late, Tom. There are not going to be enough laps left for them to get back into strong contention.
Ted Musgrave and Johnny Ziegler getting together in corner number 2 and almost looping it out as they have a heck of a battle going on for second place.
Yeah, that's the outstanding battle out there right now. Watson is really flying through that traffic. He's going to be up there challenging Ziegler and Musgrave within 3 or 4 laps, Tom.
They're now approaching up on his next conqueror will be the 58 car of Jay Sauter, who is running so well today. We've got 185 complete and soon to be 186. There's that battle now between the 93 car and the 98 car.
Watch Watson, Tom. Watch Watson.
Coming on low on the inside. Watson trying high and trying low, just not seeming to get by the 92 car, Conrad Morgan.
He is going any place and every place that he gets an opportunity. He's going high, he's going low, and now suddenly he's caught behind Willie Gaten. And he just slammed that car in there in between Connie Morgan and Weber, just slid it into a space. It didn't look like there was space to get in there. He wants to get up there and challenge at least for second and third positions.
Well, he knows every time he crosses the finish line, it's another tick off the scoreboard where we have...
Excuse me, Tom.
Where we have 190 laps complete, 10 to go.
And now Sauter is badly caught in the traffic back there. Watson is clearing out of it. He's coming up on Jay Sauter, and then he may have a shot in the final laps of this one at the second and third position. Great charge through the field by Watson.
191 laps complete as Joe Shear goes down the back straightaway, breaking an unbelievable stretch of second place finishes, not with a win since 1975. The driver of car number 2, what appears to be...
We've got 79, Tiger Tom Cellini, sitting right in the middle of the track over there, just going into 3.
And Jay Sauter, Jim Sauter rather, down in the infield, spinning it into the... what is now becoming the dry portion of the Speedway Lake down there, and he probably, or very well, might be stuck down there.
Bad break for Sauter, trying so hard in the final laps of this to get back into contention.
Optical illusion or something, but it almost looks like his door is melting.
I think he's gotten something has gotten punched very hard into that and made a hole in it, Tom, but the exhaust pipes run out close to that area, so it is possible that he's found a new way to lighten up the race car.
And the green flag is back at it, and we're on our way.
8 laps to go, and all eyes right now have to be on Dave Watson, who's set a task for himself in these final 8 laps. Nope, the traffic is not going to break for Watson. In fact, it's getting worse out there right now than it has been, so that probably ends any possibility of a bid for second or third by the Milton, Wisconsin driver. And right now, the one battle out there that is really worth watching is the 93 and 98 car, Ziegler, who is going to have his best finish ever here in the National Short Track Championship if he keeps it aimed in the right direction for the remaining 3.5 laps. And right now, Joe Shear is going to look at that clock, go to 197, and 2 more to go, and 1 more to go, and then the white flag. It is Ziegler and Musgrave in second and third. Jay Sauter is in fourth in car number 58. Watson is in fifth in 37. The white flag will be out next lap around for Joe Shear. He's going to get number 4, ladies and gentlemen. The only driver ever to win 4 National Short Track Championships after not winning one since 1975. How about that? He is on the final lap of this 200, and here he comes out of turn number 4 down to the line. Joe Shear in car number 2 is your winner. Second place to John Ziegler in car number 93. Third place to Musgrave in 98. Fourth place to Jay Sauter in 58. Boy, I'll tell you something, that's the first time he's finished ahead of the old man, I think, in a long time. Dave Watson unofficially in fifth in car number 37, and we'll see if we can get some more positions for you before the afternoon is over. But right now, down in the front straightaway, they are waiting for the number 2 car to make its appearance, make its way through the traffic over there on the backstretch. Waiting down on the line with the portable microphone will be Tom Deary, who will have an interview with a very tired, but obviously he's got to be a very pleased Joe Shear. He's waving over there on the backside to some people that are shouting at him, and I think he wants the crew to come out. I think that's what he's waiting for over there in the number 2 car, is for the crew of the number 2 car to come out and accept the plaudits that are due the car and the crew, and certainly the driver. Joe Shear waited a long time, as Tom told us, since 1975. He's won 3 of them. He and Dick Trickle are tied for the highest number of wins in the National Short Track Championship. There's the crew. Boy, are they happy, and they ought to be. And coming down to the line now, the winner, the only winner of 4 National Short Track Championships. Joe has got the record once again, and we're going to turn the microphone over right now to someone down there, I hope. Tom Deary is after that microphone right now, and then we're going to be talking to the winner of this event, and what a job he did this afternoon, accepting congratulations from Hugh Deary right now. Tom, take it down there.
Well, we're going to try to get over here to the front of the car. He's being congratulated now by a whole host of people, including the patch pro. There's a special type of congratulations. Joe?
Where's the water, Joe?
Are you hot or something? Joe, tell us the 4th time you've won it. You haven't won this since 1975. What are you thinking?
Well, I think it's about time again. Thing was really working good today. I'm super happy.
Well, turn around and give your fans a wave. They're very happy for you. They've been rooting for you. Finishing second the last 3 years in a row without a win since 1975. Joe, I got to ask you, as you went into corner number 1 on the one spin that took Watson and Sauter out, how did you get by?
Well, I seen it before they did, I think, and Sauter hit me, and I don't know if that's how those guys got in trouble or not, but I seen it, and I don't think Sauter did.
Once again, the Joe Shear expertise gets himself out of the trouble. Did a fantastic job. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, the 1982 17th Annual National Short Track Champion, Joe Shear. We're going to get him over here on this side of the car for all the pictures, so everybody can see him. The car is already... The trophy is already numbered, car number 2, and it says Joe Shear on it. The paint's a little wet, but it does say on it, Joe Shear, the 1979 National Short Track Champion, the winner here today, the 4th time he's won this event. He now holds the record for wins without a win since 1975, so it's been an unbelievable drought for Joe Shear. And I think while we still, the guys are out of their cars down in the pits, we should all put our hands together for the rest of the drivers down in the pits, finishing second all the way down to 30th. We're going to get the United Tel Company Preferred Racing Products crew over here and get them all huddling around here. If Bob Bowles is still in the pits,